Hoi folks, Craig signing in for Pure Xbox. So now the Xbox Game Showcase has officially wrapped for 2023. I really wanted to chat some reactions about the showcase, and I didn't really want to do it alone. That would be silly. So I decided it would be nice to invite two very handsome men to chat with me today. We'll start with number one handsome man. Hello, Push Square's very own Aaron Bayne. How you doing, dude?
I'm doing very well, and I'm glad that I've got the number one handsome boy slot. That's quite an honor.
I felt bad about calling you Player 2 in our Redfall chat, so I just wanted to give you a win.
Today's my day, the
round.
vindication.
But also, we are joined by first timer on the show, I suppose. It's Nintendo Life's very own Alex Olney.
Whoa, it's the Buzz Aldrin of this chat.
Hey, he was the first man on the moon.
Second,
was he?
No, he was the second man on the moon.
That's you.
That's
Whoever
me.
was on the moon is Alex Olney.
And I'm over the moon to be here.
Hey, that's exactly why I asked you to be on today. All right, so we're going to discuss, the Xbox Game Showcase. It's just finished, and it was, I'll say, just quite glorious. But there's a ton of it to unpack, and I thought we would just lead with how our expectations were for the show. Like, how were we feeling? Were we excited? Did we think Xbox and Bethesda were going to knock it out of the park or fall short and leave us feeling a bit disappointed? So, either one of you take this. What was your vibe leading into the show?
After last year's, my expectations were, I don't want to say, cautiously high. I was just a little bit worried about being disappointed. But thankfully that wasn't the case. I was, there were quite a few games in here that I really liked the look of, but there was no absolute duds either. I think overall it was a good old time, and I would say my expectations were met.
Yes, we love met expectations.
I didn't. It came at a very weird time for me this year. As I was saying to you, it was mine and my partner's anniversary at the weekend. I've been moving house recently, and there's a lot of stuff I was trying to catch up with at work, so I wasn't really going into it with anything. I actually wasn't even going to watch it initially.
Just a very busy boy in general.
Very, very busy boy, and I was struggling to really get in my head what I was expecting from it. So when I went in and watched the whole showcase, I don't really know to say if I was overly impressed or anything. I just was like, yeah, okay. And I think the main takeaway for me that irritated me is something that I've been getting annoyed at more and more recently. Is just a lot of cinematic stuff, and a lot of 2024. This was the same as the PlayStation Showcase was,
You mean the Xbox warm-up show, right?
Yeah. Well, that one was almost the opposite, whereas we wanted to know what was next for PlayStation, but in this one I wanted to know what was now for Xbox, and it was a lot of next year, and we're waiting to see and trying to kind of pick away from cinematics, what we were actually what kind of game this actually was, and what kind of mechanics and gameplay stuff was going to be in it. So that was really my big thing with this. But saying that, there was some games in there that I did like the look of. I don't think there was anything in particular that was whoa, this is the showstopper for me personally.
Nothing spoke to you directly.
Well, yes.
Well.
So within the showcase itself, we'll possibly talk about the Starfield Direct a little bit later. But in terms of the actual hour-long showcase that there was, there was nothing there that was wow, I was going to say buy an Xbox. I have one already, but boot it up. Yeah, buy another one.
Buy the new Black Series S.
Yeah,
it's got more storage, and that happened.
Yeah, that did happen. That was and one more thing at the end of the showcase. So yeah, but generally pretty good though.
Oh, I'm glad. Generally pretty good. You touched on it in a way. The Starfield Direct is blooming massive. I remember sitting down last night and just watching the hour-long showcase, and then afterwards I was like, wait, isn't this meant to go on for another hour, the Starfield Direct? There is a lot to unpack there, so for the sake of keeping things Xbox Game Showcase specific, we'll just talk about what was in there, and who knows, we might make a Starfield direct video on a different note, because there's a lot. Even Todd Howard himself had to take a break and show off some fancy stuff to get through it all. But yeah, I thought, we could go through it chronologically and take each game as it comes, but this is very much reactionary. I want to know what it was that was your standout moment throughout the show that made you think, this is great, I want to see this, I want to talk about it. What game specifically spoke to you, Alex?
Clockwork Revolution.
Ooh,
it's
buddy.
BioShock without the branding.
I thought there was like a knockoff BioShock coming out, but it did look very, very nice.
It did, yeah. I don't know whether it's just, I've always been drawn to, well, BioShock, basically, I'm not gonna lie. That was a huge part of my teenage years was BioShock, and playing that game without even knowing about it and sort of knowing what was going to happen. So I think
that's the best way to experience it, not knowing anything about BioShock. Ooh,
yeah, if anyone out there watching hasn't played BioShock, go and play it now. I've heard some people say, I hear some people say the second one is better. They're mental.
Daft.
The gameplay is a little bit smoother, and it's good to have a plasmid on one hand and a gun in the other. But the first one, in terms of atmosphere, in terms of storytelling, it absolutely trounces it. Is fun to play as a big daddy, though, cannot lie. But Clockwork Revolution, got to be careful how you say that one. Clockwork Revolution definitely seems to be taking that same sort of vibe, humanity getting a little bit too big for its boots, it's advancing too quickly, oh no, things are going wrong, and you've got some magic powers. Anyone who can't see the BioShock in this and is familiar with BioShock, I think you need to get your eyes and ears tested. But I'm a sucker for this kind of thing, and the steampunk aesthetic is also pretty groovy.
Yeah, it definitely gives me Infinite vibes. It gives me the third BioShock game. Yeah. This whole steampunk,
the best in the series,
flying, levitating vehicles and all that sort of stuff. And I suppose there's a really cool time element. So, what you were saying before, Alex, about
which
not knowing
had as well.
There is definitely some time stuff. But if you haven't heard of BioShock, the good thing about this game is there is a time element. Why don't you go back in time and learn about BioShock and then come back to this video? Anyway,
whoa,
it does look brilliant. It looks fantastic. I really liked the demonstration. It was like a tiny little bit of gameplay where they had this weird, almost suction-y rocket launcher thing with loads of little discs or something, and it destroyed a bridge, and then the bridge came back. I'd love to be able to repair my mistakes. So this game looks awesome. I was thoroughly impressed as well.
Yeah, I was definitely getting a bit of Tears of the Kingdom recall vibes from it. But that's probably, it's not a new concept.
No.
So it's just because that's all I've played for what feels like the past 5 years.
I'll shamelessly plug you here. The coverage that Nintendo Life have been doing for Tears of the Kingdom, for me personally, I've loved it. They've done so much stuff, and I specifically liked all the stuff you could do with your shields. That was a great video there, Alex.
Oh well, keep your eyes out. Who knows? Maybe we'll do something else similar and hopefully equally successful.
I would suck that up. That would be lovely. Aaron, any games stand out to you specifically?
Well, the one that I definitely think I was I'll probably try that out is Senua's Saga Hellblade 2.
Yeah.
Never played the first one, right? And I know it's something that I need to get around to, but just the little clips I've seen of this, having this weird, this kind of psychological aspect to a really cool setting, and that, it looks gorgeous as well. It was kind of bringing it back into my radar, because obviously, as the kind of PlayStation guy, I'm guilty of, on occasion, just sort of forgetting about Xbox stuff. I'm focusing on PlayStation, and this kind of brought that back.
You've got a good over there, don't you?
Well, this kind of brought Hellblade back into my line of sight, and I was like, oh, that is one that I'll play, and it has me thinking now that I need to download the first one and get that played as well. So that was probably one that kind of interested me. I like these kind of dark third-person games. Additionally, not Xbox exclusive, but Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty looks so good, and surprise, Aaron's not completed the main game because it's a big ass game and I do not have the attention span for things like this, but it looks really, really, really good. And obviously CD Projekt Red have kind of brought it back and then some with Cyberpunk, and also we're getting to the point where we're starting to remember how damn good the Witcher 3 DLC was, you know, and how large it was. And this is definitely feeling a bit more like Blood and Wine than Hearts and Stone when it comes to the Witcher comparison.
Exactly. So Blood and Wine is just a whole game in itself. They really don't cut corners or anything on DLC. So if you know, if they have anything like that to base, or like we have that to base our opinions on, then we're gonna get some good stuff with Phantom Liberty. And I'll tell you, it was lovely to see Keanu Reeves present it again, because you know, Cyberpunk is where we got the You're Breathtaking. So just seeing him on stage again, being the goofy, lovable man he was, just presenting it was fantastic.
Did anyone else notice how weird his voice sounded though? Like he'd been mic'd up really improperly.
Yeah.
Yes,
it was in the back of his mouth, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it did not sound right. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. And then obviously to briefly touch on Starfield, this is not a game actually that I was all too interested in. Being someone that's not ever really meshed with the Fallout or the Skyrim series, or the Elder Scrolls series, sorry.
Skyrim series, you're going to be torn
I know.
in the comments.
You can kind of forgive him because Skyrim's just been going for years and years and years. I swear every 10 years there's another Skyrim.
Skyrim is its own sub-series now.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But this game though, even the trailer that we saw in the showcase, I was like, it looks all right. I don't know. It definitely was always a bit more aligned with what I personally enjoy. I'm more of a sci-fi guy than I am a fantasy guy. Yeah. And Fallout, I didn't like the vibe of the series, the whole, you know, old-timey sci-fi stuff. Like, it just wasn't for me. But this game, when it got into the nitty-gritty of it with the Starfield Direct, I could not believe like how great this looks. And the only thing that actually annoys me about it all is the fact that I just know I'm not going to be able to get everything out of this game, because I'm not the kind of person that picks a game up and plays it for 500 hours. I would say there are little sort of No Man's Sky things to it where you're like, this just kind of looks too good.
I did watch the trailer. I mean, we're moving into direct here a little bit, but there's like a fear in me that whenever I see something where they're like, oh, there's a planet and you could just go there, like you could travel there, it would be great, and it's populated. It brings me back to, I guess, we talked about Cyberpunk, the release of Cyberpunk, when we got to see the first trailer and the night city being absolutely populated with tons of people on the streets, cars everywhere, and then when you played it, it was empty. There was weird models of humans that I suppose were supposed to be human, but it was just a mess. And then you had No Man's Sky, and I always recall back to the trailer comparison where it's like, No Man's Sky, everything is your oyster. Like, look at this weird dinosaur thing. It's amazing. And then it was just contrasted with the, like, I would say flute or something version of Jurassic Park music.
Oh, yes. It's
the disgusting dinosaur thing. And
I can't remember the name of the instrument, but it's like a keyboard you blow into.
Yeah.
It was hilarious. So I have that in my mind when I see games like Starfield. But what we saw back in 2020, it looks like a remaster of the game already. It already looks like there's been a ton of polish added into this game, and it genuinely looks all the better for it. So, you know, it got postponed, I suppose. We're looking at, what is it, September 6th, which is this year, which is great news. It's day one on Game Pass.
I'm going to blow your mind. We get a 6th of September every year.
I'm so glad. Sometimes I feel like I'm losing days because I get so busy. So it's a good thing to know that the September 6th will always be there for me. But yeah, I mean, it's coming out this year and it looks so much better than it did 3 years ago. So I lost a year there, see? So I'm glad you reminded me. It's like 2022. No, we're in 2023. So I'm very excited for that. It looks fantastic. But pulling it back, the Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 it was all running on Xbox Series X. And I know it wasn't so much of like what we saw originally with the, I guess, troll fight that we saw from the first gameplay reveal. And that was epic, and I guess it covered that base. But we just got to see some close-ups of the tech that they use at Ninja Theory of facial capture and just acting in general. And honestly, it looks fantastic. I was blown away by it. I will say, though, all of the voices that we were hearing in that trailer just gave me anxiety. I was like, is there someone in my house?
That's going to be one for the headphones.
It genuinely, it looked fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, Hellblade especially, the version that runs on Switch, not to swing it back into my
Not
country.
to switch it back.
Whoa! that looks and runs superbly as well, and I think it's just the game is very focused. Like, it's not trying to render loads of things all around you at once.
Yeah.
It's actually quite, and this isn't a criticism, it's quite a sparse game, which obviously, plays into the theming and everything, but as a result, it means that you can squeeze a load more out of even, weaker hardware like the Switch. It does look gorgeous. And I hope the sequel comes to Switch as well, just, throwing that.
Yeah, I think with Xbox mantra of, like, you can play anywhere and on any device, I'm sure that there'll be something coming your way, Nintendo. At least if it's Cloud Edition, or does the original run fully on hardware?
Don't. Oh yeah, the Hellblade runs completely.
I knew as soon as I said Cloud, I was like, wait, hang on, he's gonna kick up.
No, Hellblade it runs natively. Yeah.
It looks like it's pushing the Xbox Series X to its limits, at least visually, with some of the stuff we saw earlier. But with the condensed look that we got in this reveal in the showcase, it does look quite contained. So, there's always space for these very, very tight narrative games. So I am a big fan of that. It's exactly the opposite of Starfield. So we got one end of the spectrum and the other end of the spectrum. What was the other games that you mentioned there, Aaron? You mentioned the
one that I wanted to talk about, and it's not necessarily one I was overly excited about, and that is Ubisoft's open world Star Wars game, Outlaws.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I mean that's a concept that Star Wars has never fraternized with before. Outlaws.
No.
Well, that was so the thing that just they played that trailer, or the way that trailer played out was like, you are not gonna believe it. We have a video game set in the Star Wars universe. You're gonna lose your mind, right? And I'm like, yeah, cool. 10, 20 years ago, please. Why are we like? To me, all that was, and I get the open world aspect because it's not, I don't think they've ever had an open world Star Wars game, even like Jedi Survivor's like open leveled, I suppose. But to me, just being set in the Star Wars universe isn't enough of a selling point for me. And at this point, obviously, if I see some gameplay and it looks awesome and it's got really cool mechanics and a sweet story, yeah, I'll be on board for it. But
I'll just say on that gameplay front, we're actually gonna get a look at some gameplay. Yes. It might have already been out. It's at the Ubisoft presentation. It might already be out by the time this comes out. So who knows? It might be fantastic. Maybe
I'll be completely eating my words and just saying how great it looks. But in terms of like a big cinematic reveal, I don't know, it just felt too much like they were amping up like Star Wars and more Star Wars and spaceships and Star Wars. And I was like, yeah.
Did you forget this is Star Wars?
Star Wars in space!
Yeah.
Wait, it's in space?
Yeah.
I think it's just fatigue for me, to be honest.
Yeah.
We've been hammered with Star Wars content recently, and some of it is really good, don't get me wrong, and some of it is different.
Different? Well, please, I want to know more about different.
You will have to wait for another time. Can I derail things to talk about Flight Simulator?
Yes.
I just wanted to say that Flight Simulator, I'm not like a big flight sim fan or anything like that, but it was interesting to see, wow, and I may get hammered for this, but it's like, wow, flight sim now has some gameplay.
It does.
Yes.
I swear in previous games it's just you can fly a plane, and I know it's literally called Flight Simulator. I'm aware of that. But I picked it up and it's like, hey, you can play with the proper controls or you can play with the baby controls. And it's like, I'm going to have to go with the baby controls because I don't know how to fly a plane. And I flew over my hometown and I was like, wow, can I crash into it? Yes, I can. And that's what I played.
And that's the last we heard of Alex.
That's exactly what I done.
I have notes on Flight Simulator 2024. We got a little bit of 2023 with the Dune collaboration, which I will say it looks really cool, but it showed us a vehicle from Dune, and then it flew over some dunes.
Sand.
And I was like, cool, there's a lot of dunes. Dunes and dunes and dunes. But my notes for Flight Simulator 2020.
Arrakis as a planet is interesting because of what's happening on it, not because of Arrakis itself. It's one of the most boring settings. That's, I think, a big part of the point of Dune is the fact that the setting is so barren, so tedious, so uninhabitable, so uninteresting is a big point of it. But I like the look of the ornithopter.
I have in my drawer here the Blu-ray for Dune, so maybe I should watch it. But
it's very good.
Back to Flight Simulator 2024. My notes are, flying, planes, helicopters, flying. It does look awesome. Lots of flying. You could put out forest fires. There is plenty of gameplay in there that actually looked really, really cool, like trying to save some silly rock climbers that twisted their ankle upon the highest peak possible. They got to the top there, went to take the selfie and tripped over a rock, and now you can fly in and save them.
Happens to the best of us.
I thought it looked gorgeous. For some reason, I want to play it, and I never thought I would want to play a Flight Simulator game. I'll probably be with you. I will crash into my house and I will use baby controls, but it does look fun.
I'm most looking forward to the fact that you can do like the VIP flying things, only because I like the idea of getting a billionaire and flying them into a mountain. I just want to do that on repeat. I want to get Elon Musk to come. Yes, come on, I'll fly you somewhere.
We're taking you to Twitter HQ. We will soften the murdering of millionaires a little bit. Although
billionaires.
Oh yeah,
they
millionaires
can crack on. Fill your boots, but billionaires. It's that B. It rubs me up the wrong way. Worst letter in the alphabet.
I do think though introducing like gameplay tasks is a smart way to go for the series, because it is very much a let's try out. Oh cool, I flew by my own hometown. I saw my street at 500 miles an hour, and that's it, because that's exactly what I've done. It seems to be exactly what Alex done, and I think so many other people will be on the same kind of level with it, and being able to just even I bet the enthusiasts would probably see this as kind of like they're almost dumbing it down.
Oh, they're
for
watering
like
it down. Yeah, I've seen some people say that about No Man's Sky, despite the fact No Man's Sky is now way more worth playing than it was before. They considered it like almost like a meditative game before, and it's like, well, that's all well and good.
Content
it's
water
like
it down.
No, it's
how can adding?
I mean, to be fair, adding water to something does water it down.
I do think though that like introducing that is going to give it a much wider appeal and a lot more like longevity of like just installing it to try it out and uninstalling it. This might not for me really. Maybe I'll try it out, but like there will be people that will finally just push them over the edge where they go, no, I really like Flight Simulator, and I'm actually going to play quite a lot of it.
Yeah.
I like the idea of going for a long haul flight and that's it.
You can do that in real life.
I can.
It's gratuitously expensive. Yeah.
I mean, it's more than buying Flight Simulator 2024, but you know, you can, and I might. I like going on holiday. I don't want to see you in the cockpit though, Alex.
No.
I do not want to see that. I will kiss my butt
how's
goodbye.
How's your bank account looking?
Oh goodness, I'm definitely safe. Thank you very much. So there are a couple of elephants from the showcase, at least from my point of view. I would like to talk about Compulsion Games' new South of Midnight reveal. I wouldn't say there was really much in the way of gameplay or anything like that. There wasn't. It was like an in-game engine sort of thing. But I will happily watch trailers that are that artistically creative and visually beautiful, like I would constantly watch them. I don't even care if there's a game at this point, because I just want a series or a movie with that animation style, because I thought the trailer was beyond gorgeous.
It was. I just really wish we'd seen some flipping gameplay, because I've no idea what the game is about. There's some bony guy with a guitar.
Isn't that every camping trip?
Here's
wings.
Yeah.
Do we know what kind of game this is at all? I don't know why, but as soon as the character that was going up to the one guy was like, I'm looking for this monster, have you seen them or whatever, I was like, is this going to be like a monster hunting co-op thing set in a bayou with like a slightly, cooler art style? Because that was like immediately what came into my head. That's what I'm saying, like, where you're always trying to pull gameplay mechanics from cinematics when they mention things like, how would that work in an actual game? And that was like immediately what came into my head, where I was like, oh, it's going to be like a kind of open world, but it's kind of looks like Kubo and the Two Strings or whatever that movie's called.
It did.
So
it looked lovely.
It was a nice style. I'd need to see stuff. I'm just generally unenthused by cinematics these days. Although it was quite satisfying watching him play the guitar.
I think sometimes you can get away with it if it shows almost. I know this sounds mad, but too little. Like the original Alien trailer, and I mean like the 1970s trailer. It basically showed nothing, but it intrigued audiences, and that I think can work. Yeah, a literal teaser that can work, but it's hard to do for films. It's even harder to do for games. So
I loved that trailer. Like I'm on the idea that the South of Midnight reveal was fantastic, even though we didn't see anything. Like as an entertainment piece, without expectation of what's going forward, I was sat there going, I'm having a great time watching these weird fingers play a guitar. Oh, look, he's huge, and this is gorgeous.
We didn't even talk about giant Richard Ayoade.
Yeah, we'll get to him. Calm your tits. I thought, with games that are coming in the future, even just a title card. Like, South of Midnight could have done a title card, but because we know nothing about it, having this, reveal trailer that gives us a sense of place, of tone. You get to meet the characters, which I'm all for. More female-led games, I think, is fantastic, and I love seeing that with the future of gaming.
There were quite a few in this one, actually. Which
there was a lot, and I made a note of it, which feels a bit weird, but at the same time I was like, this is lovely. I love seeing this. I think it's great.
I look forward to the time when it's not even worth mentioning in a video like this.
Exactly. I think the only reason I mention it now is because I think we're in that change where we're getting to see all this awesome stuff with more diverse characters and so on. But back to the point is, with South of Midnight, I don't think a little teaser would have worked like Aliens. I mean, it could have, because
Alien?
no one would. No.
Alien?
With Alien,
there'll be no plurals in here, sir.
With gamers especially, we like to see stuff more. At least I do. One of the big letdowns for me for the show was there was absolutely nothing from the Coalition. Which was disappointing. I in no way expected Gears 6. Like, it was not on my radar at all. I would have liked to have seen something they were working on, even if it was something between the Gears games, like Gears 5 and Gears 6, and they're working on something else. But just something that went, the Coalition, and then maybe a title card, just so I can sit there and go, they're doing something, even though they probably are, because, they're working. But those things work in some cases. In South of Midnight, I loved everything I saw. Now, Alex, I'm going to let you talk about Richard Ayoade.
Before that, though, I just wanted to point out, as a Nintendo fan, you were saying about the Coalition and wanting to know what is going on. With Retro Studios, I couldn't possibly know how that feels. Anyway, yes, giant Richard Ayoade. Fable, we knew it was coming.
Of course.
But I thought that was actually... It looks like they're going in a very different direction, and frankly, I think the series needs it.
Bold.
And I did not predict that Richard Ayoade was gonna be as tall as he is, and that was fun.
It was very fun, and what was even funner about it is his name was Dave.
Yes.
Because that flips the joke, doesn't it? Dave is usually the small person. But
The
Dave
everyman.
this time was the big person, was the big Richard.
The big. Let's just say Big Rich.
I did. The big Richard of Fable. Maybe that's the joke. What was I going to say? Yeah. I'm so
Big
distracted
Richard.
by the big Richard. But when I looked that up and I saw his name was Dave, I googled giants called Dave. And I thought it was funny because I was looking for it. David and Goliath obviously showed up. But there was also this children's book called Veggie Tales, Dave and the Giant Pickle. And you would say that the protagonist
that was a
of this
Christian
trailer,
TV program, wasn't it?
yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Dave and the Giant Pickle. Well, Veggie Tales. But you could say that Richard's Dave was in a bit of a pickle because, you know, the tiny lady turned up at his house and it was hilarious. Microsoft came out and said, all of the reveals will have a collaboration of like in-game or the engine or, you know, CGI, like a mix. It would never be just straight CGI. And for some reason, I thought this was CGI. Like I guess the little fight bit with Massive Richard was the most like, okay, that's gameplay. That looks like in-engine stuff. But all of the cutscenes and so on of, you know, when the protagonist kicks a chicken and there's a werewolf on a roof, that is captured on Series X, so that's in-game or engine, and it genuinely looks stunning. I loved the comedy style. It was like The Office meets fantasy. I think they've said keeping the British humor, keeping our satire and our joy and our misery, because misery is like, funny in the UK, right?
Yeah, that is Fable, really. You couldn't really remove it without inherently changing what makes Fable Fable. There's other things as well, obviously, but that is quintessentially part of it. That would be like trying to make a US version of Peep Show, which they've tried to do like 3 times now, and funnily enough, it's never worked.
Just doesn't translate.
Yeah, all the in-betweeners. That's another classic one. They did an American version of that. It bombed because it doesn't. The humor. You can't translate the humor without changing like the core of it. And I think Fable's the same. I think it would just become a very broad, generic fantasy game if it weren't for that kind of edge that it has. And
I do think that the Brits are quite edgy, a bit fun with the sarky humor, and I could say that, you know, objectively looking at British humor, it also causes a lot of confusion in people, and I think Fable is so good at being that confusing, like, what is even going on here? So I'm thoroughly excited for that. But it's also being done by Playground Games, which, you know, they're known for Forza Horizon. So it looks stunning, which Forza Horizon always does look stunning. But I wonder how it plays, like how it runs, because this is their first non-car game, is it? I think, maybe? Perhaps. I don't know.
Sure,
Someone in the comments can tell me off. Aaron, what do you think? I realize that I've just been talking over you, so please please talk over me.
I have never played a Fable game, so I am a little bit underqualified.
Right,
for this.
well, back to you and me then.
Yes, so Aaron.
No, it looks all right. It's just one of those things that's just not for me, really.
You've had your name on so many like banners recently for games when you've reviewed them, and I send them to you on the regular because you don't have Instagram, right? So whenever I see push square a little strap line on a game, I'm like, oh, Aaron should see this, so I send it to you. I like the idea of Fable having push square strap line. It looks alright. I just love that.
Yeah, it's like I said, I'm more of a sci-fi guy than a fantasy guy, but the mixture of like the humor just like, I get the appeal, it's just not for me. One thing I did think with Big Richard is how big was the camera that was filming Big Richard?
It wasn't a
looking
real
direct
camera.
at camera,
It's a
wasn't
video
he?
game. It wasn't real.
He was looking at a camera, was he not?
It's not
Was he-
real. It's a video game. What did you think this presentation was about?
I can take a picture of a really tall building with my phone.
I just No,
Don't have to go out and buy the biggest camera.
Imagine the sensor size on that. The detail you could get
Yeah.
on a sensor that size. Oh,
yeah. Well, that's one thing I was thinking when you were talking, the two of you were going off about Big Richard. I was like, he was looking at camera, wasn't he? So then it's like,
It was.
how big is the camera? It's not going to be like a wee, is there cameras in world? Like in this fantasy world? These are the things I was thinking when watching that trailer.
I think he's just been growing his vegetables for so long on his own. He's gone mad and he's doing an interview to himself.
That does make maybe slightly more sense than a giant camera.
To be fair, he's big on
Possibly.
film as well, so maybe he believes that a film can be produced without a camera.
What I want to know is if it's a big camera, is he running big film? Like Christopher Nolan's new Oppenheimer is like the real film for that is miles and miles and miles and miles long. So if, Big Richard was filming on a big camera with big film, how many miles is that film? How many miles is that film?
You'd see the film grain. Come on. And there was clearly no. It was clearly being filmed in digital. Think of the size of the SD card.
Oh my.
Oh.
Yeah, but I bet you it's not even like it's 128 gigabyte.
An SD card the size to like put a deck in of your big garden. Just slap this SD card down the size of it. Amazing.
This is everything that I think Fable is, though. It's these stupid pieces of humor. So this is the conversation that I think the game thrives on, and I think this is why I'm excited for it, is because I imagine we're gonna get daft stuff like that throughout the game, and I'm so glad that they're sticking to the Fable thing. Like, even the way they end it, they end with an OF, and then it goes Fable. Like, it's
Fable.
fun. It's fun, but we've talked enough about Big Richard.
I don't think we'll ever have talked enough about Big Richard.
I want to get t-shirts. So there was also a highlight for me. It's an odd highlight because I don't play the other games, but it's a highlight because it's an Xbox Game Pass day one, and that's Payday 3. And I think Game Pass will only get big wins, big dubs in the house for games like Payday 3, which are co-op shooters that, bring people together and just create these little crazy little circles of fun.
Yeah, they do have a pretty loyal fan base. This
They
series,
do.
the two previous games. I don't know why it comes to mind, but years ago there was a collaboration with that H3 guy.
Oh,
Ethan
yeah.
Klein,
Oh,
was
was
in
he?
Payday. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was something from this. Like the one bit of
Was he one of the
Payday
heist guys, or
memory
was he
I
like
have in there.
the shop clerk and you mug him?
I'm not even sure. I just remember thinking what is this and why is he in this game? But
You could say
it's
that
funny.
about Nick Cage
But,
in Dead by Daylight. I have no idea why it's happening, but I'm so glad it is.
But yeah, this game looks. I don't think it really looked crazy better than the other games.
It seemed like they were focusing more on
you
guns and combat, which the previous game.
Yeah.
I haven't played it loads, but I'm pretty sure the game is pretty heavily focused on use guns to actually shoot and kill people if you absolutely have to, but try and avoid it because sneaky,
Yeah.
you're trying to be a thief. Thieves don't.
I played a little bit. Always ends in a gunfight because I'm not good at it. So I think maybe the Payday 3 trailer was airing more towards people like myself. I especially liked the parkour enemy type. I just if we go back to The Office, I just want to hear Michael Scott's parkour every time he's coming at me.
When you said The Office, I thought you meant the original.
I'm
The sort of thing that Big Richard would enjoy.
No, this looks decent enough. I mean, you throw co-op in for me. You go it's like a 4-player co-op shooter, but it's also kind of stealth leaning. I will play this game. Whether I stay with it is another thing, but I like games like this, so I'm gonna try it out.
The good thing about it is, though, it's coming out September 21st. So that I feel the general sense, I think you said it at the start, Aaron, was that there is a lot for 2024. So it's always nice that there's a 2023 game.
That is 2 days before my wedding.
Looks like you're going to be pulling off some heists.
So
and then getting
It
married.
looks like I am not. Can you imagine if I go off to get married? I'm like, yes, but I'm bringing my Xbox because me and the boys are playing
The
Payday
boys.
That's going to be a short marriage. Sorry, before we go any further, can I just say there was no need for all those bloody stings saying like world premiere and like
World premiere.
play it day one on Xbox Game Pass. It's like you don't need to take precious seconds
It
of
lets
my
you know
life
whether you need to pay attention or not.
I don't need this time wasted. Like, I mean, when it came to the talking heads bits, I actually played the video at 1.5 times speed, and it seemed like normal speech.
I will contest that. I love the world premieres. My best friends got married not that long ago, and I was in control of the mic. So when I was introducing them as the Grahams, I was like, world premiere. And you were sat in the corner with 1.5 on, so I was like, world premiere. But yeah, so back to it. Thank you.
Not just anything, it's pronounced premiere.
I feel like this is a running thread. Just me mispronouncing things.
Just
To be honest,
let me
that's
be
my entire
angry.
channel.
Just let me be angry.
So a world premiere was Persona 3 Reload.
Oh yeah, that they accidentally revealed too early on their Instagram.
Someone revealed it for the Summer Game Fest and then immediately removed it, but it wasn't quick enough because we got a good look at what looks like Persona 5 kind of reskin on Persona 3. For me personally, I had surgery at one point and it had me bedbound for around 2 weeks, and I played Persona 5 the entire time. I put like 70 plus hours ish into the game, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So if I'm gonna get anything like what I experienced with Persona 5 with Persona 3 Reload, which I hear is a very good story, it's a very interesting story in the Persona world, I'm so for this.
I haven't played Persona 3. But I have played Persona 5 and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. But I was actually, not to derail things, but it just seems a good opportunity. I was more interested in Memento. Like, that looks very much like it's going to be Shin Megami Tensei, Persona kind of universe. But I just thought it was interesting that they're doing another thing. But yeah, no, the remake looks Reloaded looks pretty groovy too.
There is a lot going on in that trailer. It's very exciting. I can't even remember what it's called. What's it called?
Memento.
Memento.
Hang on, no, it's Metaphor. God damn it.
It's Metaphor. You confused me.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
I was like, wait, is it something else? Yeah, Metaphor Fantasio.
I watched
it's a name
all
that
this
rolls off
once this morning. Give me a break. I took no notes because I don't take notes.
You don't need them. You are a performer.
I think I clearly do.
Yeah, it looked fantastic. I think it's great, and again, it's a great win for Xbox to have Japanese games on their console. I think the highlight for me as well for Persona though was the tactics game, only because I love tactics games. It doesn't look all that wowy, but tactics games are my jam, so I'm thoroughly impressed by it. I'm very excited to get onto that, which is also a Game Pass day one.
Whoa!
Which is a win. I love Game Pass. This is fantastic. Lots of good stuff on there.
And we only knew because of the big sting that said it's coming to Game Pass.
So I'm aware there's plenty more to get through with the Xbox Game Showcase, but we are running over a little bit. So I just wanted to see, is there anything else you would like to talk about? Anything you pick up and vibe with or not vibe with?
I was disappointed in the coal power plants in Cities Skylines 2's. I can't remember where the S goes, so I just put it at the end of every word. I mean, there's also a deforestation option. I understand it's a sim, but it's 2023. I mean, it's fine. I'm not actually that annoyed with it because it's just a game. But even so, I want, if I was looking at that and I was like, I love management sims. I probably will end up getting this game. And if I do, I'm going to make sure I make a city that works with nature, not against it.
Oof, I love that messaging.
I'd like to visit. That one with the oil rig looked kind of cool.
From the Chinese room.
Again, that was definitely a teaser. That's definitely back in the world of Alien. I mean, not literally.
Yeah, that looked very, very cool. I was into that. I like these very secluded claustrophobic settings, like where it's just like
Oh,
there's
you
no
love
escape.
Super Mario
You're stuck
Galaxy.
on this oil rig.
In contrast to that, you are on an oil rig, which looks very claustrophobic, especially with the fog. So it's like an oil rig, and then you look out to the water, and there's nothing there. So it does capture that claustrophobic feeling. And I did spot a helicopter in there. So maybe this entire game is a spin-off or is DLC within Flight Simulator.
I think that is the only possibility.
I would like to quickly add. Oh,
Yes!
can I quickly mention that lovely little watch for Starfield? I know it's not a part of the showcase itself,
want
but that looks spicy.
I do too.
I want it.
It's very expensive. It's £250, but I want it.
Okay, well maybe I will not get it, but I do want it.
I do want it. It looks very, very nice. Sea of Thieves Monkey Island DLC
Oh, yeah.
is coming very soon, and it does look very good. However, my thoughts on it was, this looks fancy, this looks fun, I want to play this. Yay! And then I saw a tweet, and apparently the Monkey Island creator wasn't even contacted about this whole thing. So I'm a little bit like, that's a bit dodge. That's a bit silly.
It's a bit mean. It's, yeah.
I don't know the series enough, but were the voice actors from Monkey Island in the DLC? Because if they are, they didn't tell the creator. Everyone kept them in the dark.
Well, to be fair, NDAs and everything means that, they wouldn't have been able to
talk to your friends.
If it even is the original voice actors, I'm not ultra familiar with it myself, so
Nah.
Also, the original games didn't even have voice acting because they were produced on a peanut.
Yes, they did look like they were produced on a peanut.
I just very quickly just wanted to say, like the look of the game, I can't probably pronounce. Jusant?
Oh yeah, that's the new one from Don't Nod, right?
Jusant? I don't. The climb with a weird jelly cat.
The rock climbing.
Very different style of game for them.
The thing that I liked about it was, I think there's a nod to Mission Impossible in there. There was a certain climb up the rock where they had to jump off the rock and grab it, which is the whole game. I pretty much summed the game up. You jump off rock, climb, grab rock. It does look very nice, but I think there was a little nod to Mission Impossible in there, and it looked
Had
cool.
to be. I'm about to start my binge of all of those, so I appreciated it.
It does look very, very good, and the artistic style, beautiful. To keep things nice and short, if anyone wants to mention anything with a quick fire opinion, go for it.
I have to go.
Have to go. Exactly. That's why I'm rounding it up. So, all in all, with Starfield Direct not being really talked about, even though we kind of did, and we all want the watch, even though it's very expensive, I wanted to get a rating for how Xbox Studios did the Xbox Game Showcase, how it was. Was it, from A to Z, how would you rate it? 1 to 5? 5 out of 6 fish? I don't know. I would like to hear you rate it.
I would give it a 7 out of 10. I was going to think of something amusing to rank it, but then I thought all I can think of is 7. It was good. I really enjoyed it. There were some things that I was less interested in, but overall I thought that they were mostly winners, but at the same time, a few things excited me, but nothing absolutely blew me away, because I've just played Tears of the Kingdom and I'm numb to anything else.
Yes, I feel I find it hard to do my job sometimes when I'm playing Tears of the Kingdom.
Ha! Playing Tears of the Kingdom is my job.
Oh, lovely for you.
That is the hardest flex to ever exist on the channel.
And Aaron, how would you rate it?
I'd probably go something similar, like a 6 or a 7 out of 10. There was nothing. I felt like there was a wee bit too much 2024 when Xbox really needs to hammer home what's coming out now, because obviously a whole thing is we've been waiting for ages for so many of these games, and then Redfall came out and it was a bit of a dud, and it's just they need something kind of quickly, and I know we're getting that with Starfield makes up a lot of that. It earns them back some goodwill almost, if it's good when it is actually released. But generally, I needed a little bit more this year, a little bit more
a bit more
gameplay
Silksong
stuff. And
yes, where is that?
does that?
Nobody knows. It's probably
How
falling
long
behind
is
the
that?
sofa.
That game was going about for
Where?
ages. Yeah, it was good. I agree with Alex. So it needed a ding and it didn't have that.
Needed a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
I would give it a solid 4 out of 6 fishes. I don't know why I'm saying that, but it was.
I thought you were just gonna go for 5 out of 5 for some reason, just to be like, they done 10. I'm gonna go 5.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought there was a lot to get a look at. There was plenty of really, really exciting stuff, and a few things that just spoke to me that might not be like the grandest game, but like tactics stuff. I like that sort of thing, so it catered to me. But like you say, a lot of it was scheduled for 2024, and I just would have liked to have seen something from the Coalition, just anything, just to know that I will get some answers for Gears 5 at some point. That would be nice. But overall, I was impressed. I thought it was great, and I'm looking forward to the games coming out and learning more about them.
Whoa!
You guys have got to run, and I need to stop thinking about Big Richard. So we're gonna call it here. Thank you so much for joining me,
Never
chaps.
stop thinking about
Thank you for having me.
I hear you both have
been great.
retrospective channels that people can find you on.
I have a little old channel called Push Square, which is for all things PlayStation.
Yes, it is. Sometimes he's on here.
It is.
Like today.
Sometimes.
You know, Alex, where can we find you?
Just around, generally, you know.
In the corner by the bins.
Schmoozing. You know, I'll probably, I'll be over there. I'll be over there, in the hat.
In the hat at Nintendo Life.
Yes.
So, just for everyone who does not care for humor.
They clicked off the video a while ago.
Thank you so much, guys, for joining me, and thank you for watching, everybody. Remember to subscribe to the channel and head to purexbox.com for all the Xbox news, previews, and reviews and stuff like that. As for now, I'm going to say bye. So, cheerio from me.
And it's goodbye from him.
Only me. The other two are staying. Enjoy them.